Hi, this is Devon Hendrikse, and you're listening to Verses with Vusi.
The Devonator, the devastating. Thank you very much for giving me some time and joining me on here on Verses with Vusi. First things first, how are you doing? How's COVID treating you? You keeping safe? The family, everyone doing well?
Yeah, it's we're all doing well. Thank you, Clint. Thanks for the opportunities and for getting me on. I appreciate it. Yeah, we've been good. It's been challenging. I think everyone was sort of okay with the idea of a 21-day lockdown, and it seemed like an unexpected holiday at that stage. But yeah, it's getting a bit long now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's intense. With three kids, it was a blessing, especially with the little one, spending so much time with him. He actually started walking during lockdown. So that was a very cool experience to go through that with him. Because when he's at school, you miss so much time with the kids. But yeah, we're all good. We're all safe, and just trying to take it day by day.
Yeah. How have you been staying in shape? Have you been doing anything, or have you just kind of relaxed now because there's no squash?
Yeah. The first 4 weeks of lockdown, I was still training heavily. Me and my son and 14 guys, we actually completed a 48-hour fitness challenge where we trained every 6 hours for 48 hours.
Oh my!
And we did it via Zoom. So the guys would wake up at 2:30 in the morning for the 3 o'clock sessions. And
what stuff are you doing?
Yeah, we did it. So it was a standard workout. So we did 21 minutes of cardio and then 24 minutes of a fitness routine. We saw how many reps you could repeat in the 24 minutes. So that the cardio, you could do anything. You can run. I completed, I think, over the 48 hours, I did about 27 kilometers of running in my yard.
At 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah. So it's every 6 hours, 48 hours, and yeah, it was an interesting experience. After a while, your body, it's just your mind getting you through. Your body just goes into auto mode, like on a squash court as well. You reach a point where you bug it, and your mind just pulls you through. That was my whole idea, is to test myself and the guys that joined, to see how far we can test ourselves mentally.
Were there a lot of other squash players?
Yeah, there were a couple. Most of them were actually squash players. Nico Mulder, Hannes Skuman, some of the guys that I coach at Western Rackets. There was a cool commitment, and to do it with my 10-year-old son was quite cool, to see him get up at 2:30 in the morning, and we actually camped outside in the backyard to make it even more extreme.
Yes.
But it was lekker. It was a cool experience. But yeah, the 48 hours after that, I was stuffed.
Yeah.
But yeah, the last couple of weeks, I've actually been relaxing a lot more. I was telling Bianca, it feels like the first time in about 18 years where I've been able to take off like 4 weeks properly, and take off, and it's been good to the body. The niggles and the stuff seem to have disappeared for now. And yeah, it's hard, because I like to train for something, I like to have a goal and then something specific to work towards. I mean, we would have had Jarvis now in 2 weeks' time. That would have been the time to peak. And so yeah, as soon as we get some timelines again, then I can plan my training and start up again. It's so hard to push yourself to the limit, and you don't know when you're actually gonna be competing again. But yeah, we're generally quite healthy and fit people, so I want to get back into it as soon as possible.
How's your eating been? Are you generally a good eater, or do you?
Yeah,
are you like me?
Yeah. I don't know how you eat, so I'm not gonna comment
You
on
must
that.
see. You saw my little mini boop the other like last time I saw you. You know.
Clint, yeah, that's been an interesting journey for me. On the 11th of November last year, my wife and I, we actually we went vegan for 12 weeks. No meat, no eggs, milk. You know, we went proper for 12 weeks just to test it. Actually watched that Hunger Games documentary on Netflix. And yeah, and I thought, geez, like if what they're saying is true, you know, obviously with those type of documentaries, you got to look at both sides because they are biased towards it. So I did my fair amount of research afterwards to check it out, and I just thought, geez, like if this is true and it can give me an advantage, 2% or 5%. Because that's what it is at the the level that we try and play at. It's those small margins, and I thought I got to give it a try. And yeah, geez, I finished the 12 weeks, and it was amazing. Like I dropped about 9 to 10 kilos, which was big, and my energy levels were consistent the whole day,
Really,
which was great. And then also after meals, I was able to like get up and play with the kids, like go and run in the yard and play with the kids. Where in the past, if you have a meal with meat and everything, I felt very heavy. So yeah, it's been interesting.
So you still vegan?
Yeah, we're finding a balance now. We're trying Monday to Fridays to be vegetarian / vegan. The most difficult part of being vegan for me was the cheese, cheese part. Milk and stuff, you could do almond milk and rice milk, which is actually fine. It's expensive.
So going vegan is expensive. That's actually what I was going to ask you. You know, it's it may be a healthier alternative, but you find in your experience it's been on the pricier side on average.
Yeah, certain our grocery bill actually stayed the same. You know, we averaged more or less the same because we were spending a good amount of money on meat, and now you were replacing it with chickpeas and a lot of seeds and stuff. And there's a lot of misconceptions about vegan because the first thing that people ask you is how are you getting your proteins? How are you getting this and that. But yeah, the reality is I got more protein in through the vegan diet than on any other diet that I've been on in the past. So yeah, certain things are definitely more expensive, like the milk and that type of stuff. You know, you're looking the normal liter of milk, say, is 16 rand, where this is like 48 rand. So it's so that is a big difference. But yeah. Overall, it averaged out. I didn't see a spike, like a massive spike. Maybe it was in the way that we did it. There's obviously different ways. But yeah, interesting experience. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. And I learned a lot about food and about nutrition and about just different ways of eating and cooking.
Did you find it's
South Africans?
Yeah.
Now, as South Africans, I mean, meat and biltong and all that stuff is such a big part of our bloody lives and culture that it was hard. You know, we're going to a braai with my vegan patties and sausages. You get funny looks. But yeah, the guys respect it and they give you a hard time in the beginning, but then once they know
once you've lost that 9 kilos, then they're not laughing anymore.
Yeah, and I must be honest. 9 kilos lighter on a squash court is a lot. It's just so much easier moving and getting out of the corners and that type of thing. So it was a big motivation, and maintaining the weight was so much easier. Like very interesting. Stay consistent at that level, and even now. Even now in lockdown where I haven't been very active the last 4 or 5 weeks, I've only picked up like 1 kilo, maybe 1.5 kilos and I'm not, eating as clean as I would during a season or what have you. So it's been good. It's been a positive experience for us.
Yeah. No, it's good to hear. Good to hear. I'm glad I'm not playing you this year. So, tell me, let's talk about how it all started. How did you get into squash? Where did you start? When's the first time you played?
Yeah, just like I started when I was about 4 or 5 years old. My dad got us into it.
Uh-huh.
He played at a little club with 2 courts there in Randfontein where we grew up and where they are still living. And yeah, they after a while they moved not houses, but we moved clubs to Krugersdorp Squash Club.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just like I've got so many memories of Krugersdorp Squash Club. All the years, met my wife there when we were 12 years old. And that's where it all started, was at Krugersdorp Squash Club. Eventually, my dad was the chairman there, and we were running the bar. So when I was a student, that was a nice extra income, working in the bar and restringing rackets and coaching,
Mm-hmm.
and you know the drill. So yeah, that's basically where it started. Was his love for the game that introduced it to us, and his love for sport that got us playing.
Were there any other guys or girls that were around about your age that came out of Krugersdorp or came out of Krugersdorp since, from the club that you played at? Obviously, you mentioned Bianca.
Yes, Bianca, Kyle Eigenman. So I grew up with Kyle at Krugersdorp Squash Club. So he's my English booty, my English brother.
Yeah.
And yes, my dad ran a successful program there. At a stage we had from under 11 to under 19, I think we had about 16 provincial players at the club, which is quite a lot for a club. And unfortunately the club was demolished, I think in 2005. The club, that whole Bob van Reenen sport arena was
complex or something.
Yeah, they were supposed to build a stadium for Kaizer Chiefs there, but that never happened, unfortunately. And they the end result was them killing a lot of sports for something that never happened. So that's obviously sad. But we're lucky. We spend so much time there. If you spend 5-6 days a week at a place, you're bound to pick up a racket and start hitting a few balls. And if you do it enough times, you get better and you start enjoying it. And then when you start competing, it becomes it just becomes such a big part of your life.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good. Talk to me about so from starting, how did you get involved with, how did you get to playing your first IPT, and where was your first IPT?
Oh, that's a good question. I think so. I played.
Jaren gelede, jong, je moet dink.
Jaren. I'm trying to think now. So I played two under 11s. So when I was 10 years old, that was my first under 11. I think it was in Devon. Devon was our first IPT. I think my mom and dad were the managers for the teams, and it was good. I'm not sure if my record still stands, but I've got it's 2 under 11, 2 under 13, under 14, and then 2 under 16, 2 under 19. I was number one in the province. Yeah, I was number one in the province for IPT for all the years for Gauteng. I think Natalie Granger had the record, and I overtook it with one year. So that was quite something cool. But yeah, it was like parents are very involved at that stage till about under 16. Always going on the tours with us and supporting us and motivating us. And And yeah, I'm grateful for the way they did it. They never forced us, and I think that's why I'm still training at this age and trying to play at the level that we do at this age, because it's my own decision. It was never forced, which is a valuable lesson for me now being a parent.
Yeah,
you know, you wanna, if you see your lighty being a bit slapgat, you wanna push them and you know, get them going. But it's a fine balance.
Do your kids play squash? Well, I know you said you've got a really young one, so you got a 10-year-old?
10-year-old, and my daughter is 7, and then Devon, my youngest son, is 15 months now. They just started walking now. He walks around with a racket here in the house and follows the ball around. And yeah, they enjoy it. My 10-year-old son's got a big love for cricket. So he plays for the school and for the Joburg West regional teams, and from under 11 next year he can start trying out for Gauteng and what have you. So he's got a very big passion for that. He's been on the squash court also from a young age. I think it's a great way to develop their ball skills at a young age. And yeah, my daughter is more into rhythmic gymnastics and ballet and that type of thing. She enjoys playing cricket with us, and the ball skills are very decent. But yeah, it's different though. It's not as easy. Like I said, if you're at the courts 5 days a week, you're bound to pick up a racket and start hitting balls. For them, they might get to the courts once in 2 weeks, you know, that type of thing. So it's definitely, the exposure is different. So the rate of improvement is also, I suppose, limited because of the circumstances.
How are you as a sporting dad? Are you strict with your kids? Are you you know, because sometimes you never really know how you're going to be. You know, I've seen some very, very calm guys, and then when it's their kid playing, you know, they like animals, you know?
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking. It's really nerve-wracking when your son walks out to go and bat, and to see them on the sporting field. You know, my wife is actually quite intense next to the field. Like she's crazy. I'm quite calm next to the field and that type of thing. So I try and be calm and not like scream from the sidelines and interfere with his process. I try and not, you know, let him experience this and let him experience it and let him figure it out for himself while he's in the middle. Because I'm not always going to be there to figure it out for him. But yeah, I try and get into a routine with him. I'm big on structure and you know, self-discipline and you know, the 10,000 hour theory. You know, putting in the effort. So yeah, but that's also you've got to realize at some point that they're only 10 and 7 years old, and they've still got a long way to go. But yeah, I suppose as a parent, you just want the best. Yeah, you just want the best for your kids.
Let's talk about your Jarvis career. I want to break this up into 2 parts, right?
Okay.
So I believe, when was it that you won it for the first time?
2018.
2018. Okay, so yeah. I want to talk about, let's call it from when you played your first Jarvis up until, call it 2012, maybe 20.
Okay.
Yeah. Talk about that first, and then I want to ask you about the second part of it. So talk to me about the first couple of years. What was your experience? What did you think about it? Who were some of your toughest matches? Yeah.
So my first Jarvis was 2002. Still a lighty, 16 years old.
Where was that?
And it was in the East Rand. They had the all-glass court up in the East Rand Mall. Played in the D side with Dion Venter, Dixie, and Steve Hawes. And geez, like, there's only 2 I can remember from that year specifically. But what an introduction to Jarvis. I mean, the Gauteng A side played Easterns in the final, and it was in the shopping mall there, and the atmosphere was electric. And Glenn Whittaker played the final match against Craig van der Walt, and he was 2-love down, and he came back to win it for Gauteng. And yeah, I was hooked after after experiencing that, and just seeing what it means to win Jarvis Cup. I think that just got me absolutely hooked, and I've been pretty obsessed with Jarvis for a long time. Especially the first 10 to 15 years. It was I would call it a healthy obsession. And just going through the ranks, working my way up into the B side. I had a few tough years where playing B1, and when the guys import a player, you're supposed to be 5 in the A, but then you get an imported player and you get pushed down to B1. That's tough, but very valuable lessons. You just got to work harder, and earn your spot. I would have never wanted anyone to give me a spot in the A side. And then when I eventually cracked it for the first time, it was
when was that? What year was that?
Experience. Sure, I think it was 2009. 8 or 9, yeah, around there. That was an awesome experience getting into, with obviously Paul Atkinson and Mike Tuttle have been amazing mentors, and the foundation that they've laid for us and for me when I eventually took over as captain. They laid a great foundation for Central Gauteng squash, and the culture that they tried to create within the squad, the spirit. It's very special. That's something you can't take for granted. So that was hard. But playing B1, and then you play in the A section. I played 2 years in the A section B1, so you're playing number ones in the A section, and what a experience. I think the only thing I didn't enjoy about that was with the old ranking system, the guys that I were playing weren't ranked, so the system saw them as if I was losing to number 300. So I would get to Jarvis like just close to breaking the top 10 and cracking into the top 10, and then after Jarvis, just back down to 18.
Spend the whole year getting yourself back to.
And then you get to that point. It's sort of tough, but also the experience was invaluable. So I wouldn't want it any other way. And it was when I suppose my breakthrough. It was hard getting into the top 10, and you put so much pressure on it, because when you play guys, now you're playing the number 7, so just like if I win this match, it's good points. But then also if you play a guy that's number 16, then you don't want to lose. So it plays with your mind, and it's only when I learned to not think about the uncontrollables, and when I was introduced to Craig Wapnick as a coach at that stage, then it really, he helped me a lot with that type of thing.
Let's talk about so like I said, from about 2013, 14 onwards. The reason why I want to speak about that, because for me, I started noticing like a shift, in Gauteng, not only about with the importing of the players, the quality players that you guys got, but just in terms of the culture, right? The Gauteng culture it seemed to kind of solidify. You guys lost a lot of, like, Gauteng was always winning for the longest time, with Glenn's, Toots's, and those kind of guys. And then you went through like a little bit of a slump. And then you guys came back with the the good run. Obviously, your ladies were doing exceptionally well under the leadership of Diane. But I don't know, when did you take over, and what are some of the things that you felt changed and got the team better? Because I'm obviously biased here. I think you guys had, next to us, the best spirit, and having, played Jarvis, people underestimate, like, that is actually what gets you through Jarvis. Your team on paper is, I would probably say, 30-40% of it, but the spirit within the team is what gets you the win
over the line. Yes.
Yeah. Talk to me about that. Do you have any thoughts on that? Is there anything in particular that you as captain did just to kind of change, or did you just continue the culture of Paul and Toots, who were very, very influential leaders in that team?
Yeah, like I say, the foundation that Paul and Toots laid was amazing in that regard. The culture that they created over the years was really, really amazing. But it's big shoes to fill, and every year there's new lighties coming in. And so I took it upon myself, to make sure that they understand from the start what it's about, and that yes, squash is an individual sport, but Jarvis is different. Jarvis is about the squad and about the team, and so we still try as a side every morning after breakfast to go and watch the DCB sides, men and ladies. Because we know, they'll hopefully, return the favor in the afternoon when we need it for our fixtures. So it's small things like that. And I remember, when I was playing D side and a Tutel or a Whittaker came down and gave me advice in between games, you starstruck at that point, but it leaves a mark, and that's what we're trying to keep and to hold on to for as long as possible. Because we are blessed with a lot of Igoli youngsters coming through and a lot of good juniors coming through. But it is a big priority to make them understand what Jarvis is about, and to continue that culture. Because otherwise, it's just another tournament. We never wanted to get to that. So it is special, and absolutely, you push yourself so much further when that Red Sea is behind you, and the noise levels goes a bit more. So that's a big thing, and that's how Jarvis, the obsession with it for me has come such a long way, and winning Jarvis and holding that cup eventually, and seeing what it meant to the squad that went through the pains with me all the the years that we came close and that we were building and what have you. That meant the world. To see their faces, and like a Carl Eigerman, that I've known since I was 8-9 years old, and to hold the trophy with him, it's special memories that I'll remember forever.
No, that's good. Like, tell me how did you manage? Like, Gauteng has obviously, he's got a lot of characters. How did you manage guys like Tobes, Danskis? Those guys are like, yes, I don't know. But just to interrupt you quickly, but like, it kind of, it's testament to the kind of person and the kind of leader and the guy you are. Is those guys speak so highly of you, and just the respect that they have for you. And that's also, I've also got a lot of respect for you, because you're also one of those quiet leaders. You're not like, we know there's some people like that in SA squash, but you've always just quietly gone about your business, and I've always respected and admired that, because like, that is also the kind of person that I've always wanted to be, and I've always seen that quality in you, and to see it is possible, But yeah, just talk to me about how you how you manage those two in particular.
Yeah, thank you, Clint. It's a big compliment. I've always tried, and I believe that that your actions must speak louder than your words. As a leader, you got to lead from the front, and you got to lead with your actions. And I've learned that as a parent, your actions speak louder than words. Your kids watch what you do, yeah, in squash terms, let the racket do the talking on the court. And your actions as a leader, off the court. Yeah, Tobes. Yes, yeah. The love that I've developed for that guy is unreal.
Shout out Tobes.
Yeah, the one and only.
I'm gonna get him next. I was trying to think, should I actually speak to both of you together? But I feel like it's better just to keep you guys separate, because I think you'll have the leadership role, and then I'll ask Tobes for the dirt.
Yeah, lekker. No, that's very lekker. So originally, Toots and Paul, when we now cracked the A side, me and Tobes, and the idea they just wanted me to room with Tobes so I can get him out of the club earlier that's the nightclub in the evenings, and get him into bed earlier, because they just didn't have much success. Even some nights, all three of us trying to tackle him, and they would still elude us. And yeah, it was amazing to see him grow year after year. I think last year was our 8th year, if I'm not mistaken, rooming together. And yeah, it's our friendship and everything has just gone from strength to strength. And yeah, and just to see him also like growing up and becoming more responsible, and now helping me getting the youngsters out of the clubs and stuff is awesome. It's awesome. And when he won nationals, and we always knew he's got the potential to reach that point in South African squash. And yeah, it's just a privilege to have him in our team. He's an awesome character. Yeah, my core and my six-pack after that week of Jarvis, laughing with him, he takes it to the next level. He's a very funny guy. And yeah, Dansky, I coached Dansky when I coached Kes, King Edward School at for a couple of years when I was a student at UJ, and that's where I met Dansky originally, him and Wesley Daniels. And also Dansky just had this belief in me that we would win Jarvis eventually. Like every year when we didn't make it, he says, "Don't worry, Dev, you will win this this thing, and we will do it together." And the gees that Dansky brings to a squad is next level. Like he last year was the first time he missed Jarvis. He rocked up on, I think, the Thursday. He eventually came and he promised me he won't miss another one, because he just saw again, like, he can't, it's too special. But yeah, he's an amazing character.
He's a great
finds
guy.
Meetings and everything is just.
You need a guy like that, what I always respect about Dansky is that he parties hard, but he plays hard as well. He's never ever gonna give up. I don't know where he finds the energy, the strength, whatever, but like you can just see him on court, like he is giving it his all, and people, teammates and opposition see that, and they respect that so much, because he's really giving his all, is embracing the fullness of the Jarvis experience, But not only that, he's such a good catalyst for the team. Like, he gets them going. He's the loudest. He's banging on the wall. He's coming up with the good chirps. He's like, so it really just constantly picks your spirit up. You never feel like there's a downer. So yeah, Dunsky's good peeps, you know. He's good.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, his philosophy, you know, as long as you get the W the next day, you know, you can party and you can do your thing, but you got to win the next day. You know? Yeah, his position is C5. That's
He's the
Dunsky's spot.
anchor.
No one anchored. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. He's gone 5 from 5. Yeah, I don't want to give away stats and not get it right, but he's done it a few times. He's very successful. So we keep him as a banker at C5.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's exactly it. He brings the heat. He brings the fire in everything that he does. He brings the awesome energy from the Sunday to the Friday night final function. And yeah, he's got a big love for the province and for the game, and it rubs off on everybody. And hopefully, you know, it's those type of characters that'll keep the culture and the spirit going.
You need somebody like him, Tobes as well, who's I feel like these are glue guys in a province, right? Because
100%.
the youngsters can see that what is possible, right? Like Tobes does it at such a high level. You know, he squashes at such a high level. He still, well, I don't know now, but like, you know, he used to go out, but the kids can kind of see, or the next generation can see, like, listen, okay, it's okay to do this, but my responsibility is to get that W. That's why I'm here. So whatever I need to do to get that W, I need to work, because like these guys are working hard for me as well, you know. So now that's very good. Tell me about you've had over the years, you've had a couple of internationals play for you guys, and what was it like having Tarek Momen play for you guys for I think 2 or 3 years?
Yeah.
You know, what was that experience like? What do you think he brought to the table? Obviously, we know his squash, but how was he in fines? How was he as a teammate, team member?
Yeah, just it's always a risk, you know, because Jarvis is not just about the squash, and obviously we want to win, and obviously we want to do well for ourselves and for the sponsors and everything. But for us, it's so important for the internationals to get involved with the squad and get involved with
to get it,
to understand what Jarvis is about, you know. And I think that's why Jarvis is such a successful tournament and why everyone knows about it overseas. And when I try to recruit top 20 players in the world, you know, you speak to Simon Rosner and he's like, he knows exactly, immediately he knows. Jarvis, yes, I would love to play this. So Tarek was very special in that regard, because he brought the full package. You know, without touching alcohol. You know, he's very disciplined in that regard. But even without touching alcohol, he would have so much fun in fines and get involved and find Tobes and find Dunsky and, you know, get his fair share in. And it's awesome. I still speak to him regularly. And yeah, it's just great learning from him, and he shares information, which is awesome. And that's something I learned from the Egyptian players, is they share information. That's something that I'm trying, you know, from my side in South Africa to try to get the guys to share more between ourselves. And so yeah, it's been and now with him being the current world champion, geez, like what an honor to have him as part of the Gauteng squad. And yeah, he's a good guy. He's really a good guy.
No,
my favorite Egyptian. Yeah.
No, that's good. That's good. As you've mentioned, you've been involved in squash for years, and you've seen, you know, the highs and lows of squash throughout the years. I mean, you were involved with a very successful Rao team under the leadership of Ilza, and then she took over Squash South Africa, and then she did a great job, got us a lot of exposure, and you know, talk to me about your current thoughts on squash in South Africa. You know, what are your thoughts on it? yeah. What do you think? The good bits, the bad bits, any areas that need to be improved on? What do you think about?
Yeah. For me, I think exposure is our biggest thing. Like, for my own, I can just take my own squash, because I believe you got to lose every week, every 2 weeks. Someone's got to beat you, and that's how you learn and how you improve the fastest. And I've been blessed in the area that I've been staying in now in Gauteng. I've built myself up, so you don't get guys. How can I say? Beating you as often to improve. So I think exposure, it's difficult where we're based, located in the bottom part of Africa. It's definitely harder to travel, and it's expensive to do it. So I think to really get good, you got to sacrifice it and go and base yourself in a hub. Like, I know America is booming, but I think Europe is probably still one of the best places to go and base yourself. But it's tough. Just if you listen to the stories with Steve Coppinger and yourself, it's hard. Not money is limited, so you're not eating properly necessarily. You're not getting the best coaching, and then if you don't do well at the tournament, you don't have enough money to travel to the next tournament, and it's probably one of the toughest jobs to do. So I think that's always a limiting factor is our exposure. I mean, if I had a guy that's top 40 in the world at my club all the time, and I could watch him play and play against him, that type of thing. Where I think the Egyptians, if I speak to Tarek, you can walk into most clubs and there'll be someone,
former world number one,
just casually hanging around. That's crazy. And I mean, their junior tournaments he says about 800 kids, in junior tournaments. So it's just, and I think also for me, their juniors play the British and the World Opens from under 11. So by the time they get to under 19, it's just a Grand Prix tournament. It's like no big deal. Where our guys go for the first time under 19, and they almost go for the experience and to learn. And yes, we're always learning, but you got to go to win. You got to go with a mindset to win, and then we rock up there and you check on the on the draw that you're playing in Egyptian. You don't know him from anywhere, but it's just mental blocks that we. But I think if you're exposed from under 11, it's so much easier to get used to that environment. So definitely exposure. I don't think we lack in terms of work ethic, in terms of talent. Adrian Stiff, Mohammed Al-Shorberg, his coach that was here 2 years ago with the Igoli squash, he commented, he said to me, there's, without a doubt, there's enough skill level in Igoli squash to develop a top 10 in the world player from that, the pool of players coming through there. And I mean, that's very exciting. But yeah, just nurturing them and getting them the right structure, to be able to train and what have you. So yeah, I think we've got good coaching. But yeah, for me, sharing information is something that I would like to see more of. And also, like, it's almost like the rugby teams in South Africa, like, you get the Lions and the Sharks and the Blue Bulls and Western Province. They all play a different brand of rugby. So the Bulls might kick a lot and Western Province defend well, and then you get the Sharks that have got some flair. But if you look at New Zealand's teams, all of them play the same brand of rugby, and I think it's engraved in them from a very young age that it's more or less what you're going to get, that brand. Where and when you get to Springbok level, it could be quite confusing. Now, if you're coming from a Lions background or a Western Province background, it's a hard job for a coach to consolidate. So my point is, if we, like, what brand do we represent in South Africa? For me, there should be a blueprint of what is our plans on winning or getting a medal in the 2030 men's world championships. Like, what is the blueprint? What do we believe in? What's the world standards that we got to get to in fitness, in skill, in strength, in mental toughness, in all that stuff? It just seems like there's no clear blueprint plan in terms of what we all believe in together can get us to that level, and how we're going to get how can we break it down into smaller parts and then work towards that. It seems like everyone's like trying their own thing and their own philosophy.
I've said this a couple of times already. People that I speak to often, cops, Zook, Sean, those kind of guys. They'll know like my philosophy on this, and I've said it before, is that I feel like in squash, especially in South Africa, they don't utilize people that have done it. I look at myself, Sean, Fioli, Coppers, Jesse also, we often don't mention him, but he was a big part of South African squash. We don't get asked our thoughts, our opinions. I look at how, let's say, how JP and Christo and Blessings playing on the tour a little bit, Tobes a little bit, but like, especially I would say JP is now on the tour more actively, right? There's a couple of things that, and I know he's done this. He's gone to Cops, he's gone to Dave Palmer's and those kind of things. But like, if South Africa had a kind of created a platform for somebody like Cops, Ciolis, whoever, like those top players, like to say, like, these are the things that, okay, Dev, we see how you are, or if your Lighty wants to play squash now, we say, okay, he's very good at this, but like, before he decides to go play a tournament in Australia, right? Because he's going to go there, fly, spend 15,000 Rand, and then lose in the first round, and then fly back on Saturday, right? So like, before he does that, like, let's make sure that he can do this. Or let's take this 15,000, right? Buy your flight, go stay with Cops for 3 weeks, train with him. Like, that 3 weeks of training is so much more beneficial than going to Hong Kong for the first round, playing a $5,000 challenger, you lose money, and you come back, you spend 15,000 Rand, you spend another 15 on hotel and food there, you come back, you 30 in the hole, and you played one match, right? Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, there's, like, I've seen some of the guys were making a little bit of those same mistakes that I made, like, especially me, right? Like, playing the wrong tournaments, making the wrong decisions, and I think, like, that's one of the things that I feel like squash in South Africa, the administrators need to tap into a little bit more. If you get money, right, find out what's the best way to go about this. You said exposure. Exposure is great, right? But you don't want to go, like I said, go to Australia for, 20,000 Rand, play one match, and you come back. That's an expensive lesson. You can almost like give that money, pay Rodney 20,000 Rand, and then have a month with him, 2 months with him. That's going to take your squash to the next level. You might not be top 100 this year or next year, right? But you aren't going to sit at 100, 120 for 3, 4, 5 years, and then now at 32, then you break into the top 100, right? Like, it's, so those are some of the things that I feel, I'm hoping, like, with a platform like this, we can start sharing these kinds of ideas so people can say, okay, like, listen, I want to send my kid to the US Junior Open. Maybe they can come and spend a week with Clinton in New York before they play the US Junior Open, prepare them, blah, blah, blah. Those kind of things. Like, it's like you were saying, like, Western Province does its own thing. Gauteng does its own thing. Northerns do their own thing. Nobody works together for South African squash.
100%.
And I would personally, just my 2 cents, I'd like to see that a lot more, actually, so that we can work together. Even at a Jarvis, you get people with tons of experience, like get yourself, myself, Coppers, Zooks, Sean, like in a room, and like you spend, just an hour just chatting about certain things. Okay, these are the 4 or 5 players that are going to world teams. Okay, these 2 are in Natal. Do you think they can come to you, Rodney, and hit for 2 weeks? How much would you charge? Would you charge anything? Or if we find 5, would you do that? Those kind of things, like those conversations never ever happen, right? Yeah. And that's what I feel is a start. Like there's so much more, but that you don't need money for that, right? Like that's the first thing. Like I'm willing to help. You'd be willing to help. I know a ton of other squash players that would be willing to help just to get our game to the next level. So sorry, I went on for a very long time.
That's cool. I love it, and I love your passion, and that's exactly what we need in South Africa. Myself and Wapnik talk about it often, and it can actually just be as simple as that. Just get everyone in one room. Get Wapnik, myself, whoever's Christo, there's nobody, JP, everyone in one room and with a couple of beers, a pizza, what have you, and just chat and just say, listen, what are we doing? Where are we going? How do we get the next guys, into the top 10? What's the goal?
Yeah.
What is the goal in South African squash? Like that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's easy to say, we want to be world champions. Okay, cool, that's cool. But like, okay, so break that down. Like, what are we doing to become? Are we acting, and are our actions, speaking the words and the volumes to get us to world championship status?
Yeah.
I don't think it is at this stage.
I mean, I think to be fair, like I think Squash South Africa is understaffed. There's 2 or 3 people in the office, and they got to service a country like South Africa. As many squash players, development, leagues, provincial stuff. So they are understaffed. So they definitely need some help with regards to that. But I mean, I think that's what I'm saying is like there are resources. They just need somebody to ask. Dev, Clint, Zooks, like, can we just have a quick chat? So anyway, we come into the quick fire round. It's the end of the talk. So quick fire round. Okay.
Right.
Chicken or beef? Or I should say salad now for you as a vegetarian.
Used to be chicken, yeah.
Okay. Used to be chicken. Okay.
Yeah.
Beer, wine, or shots?
Shots.
Oh, Gante. Coast or altitude? I should have said beer, wine, or funnel.
Yeah.
Coast or altitude?
Altitude.
Oh my word. Braai or cooking?
Braai.
Oh, South African. Forehand or backhand?
Forehand.
100 court sprints or 100 burpees?
Yeah, court sprint.
Everyone, nobody said burpees.
Is it?
Everyone I've asked, nobody said burpees.
I did the 100 burpees with the 48-hour challenge. We did enough burpees there, and now I'm allergic after that.
Burpees are hard at 12 or 1 p.m. or at 2 a.m. It's
hard.
They just.
It's one of those exercises that you can't hide from it, like a pull-up. Like you can't hide. And I love those type of things.
Yeah, there's no easy way to do it. There's no, running, I suppose, running course sprints, you can get into a little bit of a rhythm and then, but yeah. Okay. Toots or paw?
In terms of?
You tell me.
In terms of
quick
pool,
one. I always get the guys with these on.
Kids or pool. But
Okay,
like as a competitor or as a...
you tell me, whatever. I don't know. It's a quick fire, Dev.
Oh.
Or you can choose option C, which is both.
Both. Yeah, no, I'll say
I gave you an escape route there.
Thank you. Yeah, that's, I can't choose. I can't choose between them.
Favorite shot?
That's like asking me to choose between my kids.
Always just choose the first one. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Favorite shot?
Favorite shots is Simon. Favorite shot. Forehand drive, yeah.
Forehand drive. Ooh, nice. Yeah. Okay, if you had a dinner, give me 5 people that you'd love to have at a dinner, dead or alive. It could be, yeah, you could just say your family, or you could, some people want to meet other people. So,
yeah,
top
absolutely.
5. Who would you have at your dinner? Excluding me, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, excluding you. Dinner. Yeah, I would definitely say, the bookie would always be there. Bookie, Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods, especially now, everything he's gone through and his comeback and everything is amazing. I think one of the cons, John Sher or Jahangir, one of those two would be.
You got 5 slots, so you could put both of them in if you want.
Yeah.
So that's 4 so far.
Yeah, that's 4. And
okay, let's make the cons 1. So you got 2 more.
2 more. Okay. Sure. Let me.
This is so funny because, like, I asked Zooks this question and he couldn't actually answer it. I was like, this is so. It's not supposed to be difficult. I would have had like Mandela, Obama, Federer, Tupac, and yeah, I mean, it's like, like that's 4 already. Just quick, quick.
Quick.
Yeah, and Tiger, that's my 5. You know.
There you go.
So.
Federer. Yeah. I think Federer. And
got 1 more.
And Mandela.
You're using my stuff. You got to get your own. Okay, but fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, no, just like I think the stories that would come out of that conversation, and Tobes would keep the party alive.
Yeah, exactly. Tobes made it. You made it with Tiger.
Absolutely, he'll be the VIP.
Yeah. So in closing, Dev, tell me, what's the best piece of advice you've received, and what was it, if you care to share?
Yeah, like I said, I think Craig Wapnick was very good for me in my squash, and it just because he's quite different, the way he approaches things, and with myself being extremely structured and like almost just looking at things in one way, he forced me to open up my just broaden expand my vision.
Broaden the horizons.
The way I look at things, and he taught me to volley. To volley and to use the racket and use racket skill and to run less, and I mean, my squash took a major dip when I started my coaching with him, because it was so different, and being at altitude, it's just so comfortable going to fetch another ball or out of the back corner, so definitely just, and from a mental mental aspect as well, is to play the game and not the name. That's what he always used to say.
That's a good one.
Play the game and not the name, and that taught me a lot, especially when I was with him for 6 months, and I broke into the top 10, which I struggled with. Yes, I was like 11 to 15 for a number of years, and that switch, it was the best move I did, was working with Craig, and play the game and not the name.
Yeah. It's funny, when I asked Zooks this question, he said, like, you gave him advice. He said, if you're still breathing, it's not over. As he said, he quoted Devon Hendrikse this. I was like, I thought you were going to bring that one up, but I like play the game, not the name. That's a very, very good one. Dev, thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and thank you very much for giving me some of your time. I know you're a busy man, so keep healthy, keep eating those veggies, and send my regards to the family. And I look forward to catching up in person when I see you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Clint. I appreciate the opportunity, thinking of me.